Thank you, Cass. And good afternoon to all of the people on the line. Thank you for joining us for part 4 of what's been a pretty long afternoon if you've joined us all afternoon. But my name is Diego Gonzalez, and I'm the sales manager for the corporate team here at CDW. Been here 10 years, and I'm joined by our last speaker today, also a very special guest, who is the principal of our cloud services practice here at CDW. So I'm joined by Jason Allan, and he has 20 plus years of experience in the industry, so a wealth of knowledge around our services, around our offerings, and I definitely think we'll see a lot of value in your time spent this afternoon having him talk through our CDW managed services. In specific, he'll be going into our cloud services and our data protection services, and then lastly, our network services. So I'll leave that to him, and then if there's any questions for anybody on the line, feel free to drop those in the chat box. There will be a Q&A session after his presentation is done, and then from there we'll move into our Kahoot quiz, where one lucky winner will get 15% off of their first services engagement with us. So without further ado, I'll pass it on to Jason. Thanks.
Thanks so much, Diego. Thanks so much for your time, guys. I appreciate you joining me at the tail end of your day. I know not everyone probably wants to be here, but I really value your time and giving me your eyeballs so we can have a bit of a conversation around the value that CDW brings to the table in regards to a vast array of managed services, but particularly today we're going to zone into some core cloud service offerings. So just to give you an overview of me, as Diego said, my name is Jason Allan. I'm the principal for cloud services here at CDW Canada. Been with CDW for almost 4 years now. Fantastic company to work for. I wouldn't be here otherwise. But I have a really strong managed services background, hence why I'm in this particular role. And I'm looking forward to discussing some of our key value cloud managed services with you all. If there's any problems with hearing me from an audio perspective, please just throw a little note in the chat there. So yeah, what I wanted to delve in today was zoning in on some of our key cloud services. I'll start with just running through what we do from a professional services perspective, what we do in regards to cloud resell, some of our key cloud managed service offerings and the value they bring to your business. And then I'll jump into data protection services. I have a very strong data protection services background and specifically disaster recovery. We currently provide a really strong data protection portfolio to our customers, so it'd be great to delve into that as well. And also I wanted to spend just a few minutes talking about our SD-WAN offering and the carrier services we can resell to yourselves as well. And hopefully, stick around to the end. We'll have a short Kahoot, game, and you could potentially win that 15% off your next engagement with CDW. So moving on into the good stuff. Firstly, I just wanted to touch on, before we delve into the actual services, just sort of high level step back and just talk about the investment that CDW has made from a services perspective, not only from a one-time professional services engagement across infrastructure, cloud, security, but also the managed services, hence this meeting today. We have 100 plus badged employees within our National Operations Center and Security Operations Center. So across those two core managed service environments, we have 100 plus resources. So a significant investment in what we do in the cloud space and what we do from an on-prem infrastructure perspective or private cloud space, and also in the security realm as well. And our National Operations Center and our Security Operations Center is spread across both Calgary and Toronto. It covers all our services on a 24/7, 365-day-a-year basis. And as I stated, we have experts within that team, not third parties. They're CDW employed, badged employees. So just a high level of the managed services before we zone in specifically to the cloud managed services. Everything we do, as I said, is covered by a 24/7, 365-day-a-year support service. We go through a pretty substantial onboarding process for all of the managed services that we do. And the reason we do that is we want to make sure that we fully understand the services that we're taking on as part of whatever that managed service is, whether it's managing your Azure environment or managing an on-prem VMware environment. We want to make sure that we understand those workloads and ensure we plug in the correct monitoring, establish the right alerting and response metrics so that we can provide you a service that far exceeds what you've experienced previously. Some of the key services that we provide holistically at an enterprise tier include our really strong security practice services, which includes SIEM services, managed detect and response services, next-gen firewall management, and security monitoring. We do a lot of SD-WAN and wireless access points, switching, routers, and firewalls, as I stated. Do IPS and IDS protection services and a range of vulnerability assessments as well. That's just touching on our security practice, but I'll leave it there and move on to the other components. From an infrastructure perspective, we cover everything that you basically have on premise, whether you have a HCI environment or traditional 3-tier architecture, running Hyper-V or VMware, or even Nutanix, SimpliVity, whatever you have in your environment, we can manage those environments and free your teams up internally to focus on items that are far more valuable to your business. I always like to say, let us look after the day-to-day operational aspects of your business so that you're totally free to focus on what really matters to your customers. From a cloud perspective, I won't spend too much time on touching on this one because we'll delve into that in a minute. But we cover a range of services across Azure, AWS, and GCP. Do a lot of cloud readiness assessments and security recommendations. We do also well-architected reviews, and I'll delve into that in a little bit. Okay. If you guys have any questions too, feel free to just throw your questions out there. If I haven't covered a topic, I'm happy to just delve into that as well. So please don't hesitate. Okay, what do we do from a cloud professional services perspective? We do a wide range of provide a wide range of services, whether that's building out a new cloud platform for yourself, building out that the automated deployments of serverless workloads, whether that's building out a DevOps environment and helping your team understand what it really means to deploy modern applications into a cloud environment. Whether you need to understand the current workloads you have on premise and how they can translate into a cloud native outcome, we do a lot of those assessments. A lot of cloud migrations, if you're just in a position where you need to close down a data center or you need to minimize what you have on premise and lift and shift that to the cloud, and then do a modernization phase assessment and modernization of those applications that you moved across, we do those as well. We'll provide you with cloud on-ramp services from on-premise or in colo facilities to your cloud of choice. And we provide a whole range of application modernization services. If you have a customer-facing work environment that needs to be enhanced, you need to provide some additional services and value to your customers. We'll help you understand how that you can achieve those goals. If you need to, work through a legacy application and understand how you can, migrate that to microservice outcomes and a modernized architecture that ensures you're agile enough to provide world-class services. Sorry, did someone ask a question there? Must be someone with mute on. We'll go for it.
No questions. I was just checking out the chat. I don't see anything.
No problem. Thanks, Diego. Yeah, so we also build out a wide range of mobile applications as well. So the CDW that you know of past is stepped way beyond what you know of CDW. We provide, like I said, we can develop mobile applications for you, modernized customer-facing applications. We can do a whole range of data engineering. If you have an ETL process you need to offload from on-premise into the cloud, we can help you translate how that will work and how you can get your ETL processes to work, for your business. Content Center, we do Azure VDI, AWS workspaces, and the list goes on, but I'll leave it there for this slide. So when we're talking about managed cloud, we have two key certifications that cover us and prove the value that we provide to existing customers. So we're one of only 2 Azure Expert MSPs in Canada. Don't know who the other partner is. If I did, I wouldn't say. But this is an audit that we went through with Microsoft, proving not only that we provide valuable services to our customers. Microsoft went out to our customers and had a conversation with those customers to prove and validate that the services we do provide are fast, we're responsive, and we give them exactly what we give our customers exactly what they want, and they have a great experience with us. And exactly the same in the AWS space. When we talk about GCP, I should mention that currently we provide Google Cloud resale services. We don't provide managed services at the moment, but we can build out, we have professional services available for any Google environments you want built, just not the managed component yet. We're working on that, and very shortly we'll have that as a valuable service we can provide to our customers as well. But an important point to make is that we don't go to market with anything that we can't provide a really great experience for our customers across. So hence why I won't talk about managed GCP, because we're not there yet. We want to make sure that what we do in that space is of extreme value to our customers. So just touching on our technology partners, just to give you a bit of a high level or overview of the landscape and some of the key vendors that we work with. From an automation perspective, we use a lot of Terraform and Ansible to automate our best practice deployments in Azure, in AWS, and ensure that best practices for security, for networking, for storage, for compute are all built out to industry best practices, and they are baked into the automated processes we use to build out those environments for you as our customer. We do a lot of containerized outcomes as well across Docker, Kubernetes. We're doing quite a bit across multi-cloud, containerized automation and outcomes. So if you have any questions around, how can you, I mentioned it on the last slide, but if you have any environments that you need to containerize, or you need to shift from a traditional software deployment model to an agile deployment model, we can help you understand how you can do that. And that comes within that automation, DevOps, CI/CD framework and partnership we have with those vendors there. From a hybrid cloud environment, I'm sure you guys are very well versed with these particular vendors. We work with Nutanix, VMware, NetApp, Cisco, HPE, Dell, wide range of vendors in the hybrid cloud space. We zone in on VMware and Nutanix specifically in regards to building out multi-site, highly available outcomes. And like I said previously, we can help you with those highly available outcomes if you're not there yet and you need the expertise and understanding how to build those environments out. From a planning, migration, and DR perspective, some of our cloud readiness assessments utilize Cloudimize, but we also utilize, as part of those cloud readiness assessments, face-to-face interactions with our customers and the application owners, so that we can ensure when we're trying to help you understand how you can translate an on-premise application into a cloud-native outcome. We're not just totally depending on a tool to help us understand how that application can be translated, but also face-to-face communication with the application owners, so we can add significant value to that engagement. We do a lot of Azure Site Recovery, Zerto, Commvault. I'm going to talk to these services in a bit more detail, so I won't spend too much time on that. From an operational perspective, we use Science Logic for all our on-premise monitoring of environments, and Datadog for all our cloud-based monitoring requirements. Datadog is the right tool of choice in that cloud space. Cloud Checker I'll talk to, and Dynatraces helps us with our application performance monitoring requirements, as well as Datadog. Security, I'm sure you've just enjoyed that security meeting previously with Mitch a few minutes ago, so I won't delve too much into this, and I'll talk to some of these products when I get into the managed SD-WAN and network component of this presentation. So if my screen would stop being blue, here we go. Brilliant. On to the next one. I must be running out of memory. Oh my gosh. Okay, so just delving into the key cloud service offerings that we have from a resale and management perspective. We have 3 tiers of service. The primary service being our cloud core service, which is our resale service. If I delve onto this next screen here, just to sort of get a little bit more specific. Every MSP provides cloud resale. We provide it across Azure, AWS, and GCP. Obviously, we want to be your partner of choice across these clouds. What we do above and beyond what some vendors or partners do is that we not only provide our own team to internally support these 3 cloud environments and provide you with 24/7, 365-day-a-year support for your resale environments. We not only provide the billing with 30-day net terms to you as our customer, we provide you with additional value-add tooling at no additional charge as part of that resale. So you just need to pay your monthly resale fees to CDW across AWS, GCP, or Azure, and we will provide you some significant tooling. The product we provide is Cloud Checker, and normally to get this tooling, it costs a few $1,000s a year to depending on the size of your cloud environment, to actually engage with Cloud Checker and get this tooling. But we're in a position to be able to provide that at no additional charge as part of resale. And the real value that comes with Cloud Checker is, number one, it not only gives you the billing visibility or reporting visibility, which I'll show you on the next screen here, gives you a few key value add statements. So we're looking at Cloud Checker, so complementary tooling. One thing that we find with many of our cloud customers is that they have a little bit of GCP, a little bit of Azure, a little bit of AWS, but to have an environment or a tool that gives you holistic billing and usage visibility across the 3 clouds or 2 clouds or even just 1 cloud is really advantageous. As you know, there's not many using the cloud environments by themselves. You don't get a tool that gives you that sort of holistic visibility across a multi-cloud environment. So having Cloud Checker as part of your resale agreement with CDW, we're able to make sure that the reporting across all of the cloud environments is unified for you. And you have clear line of sight of your EC2 usage, whether it's, serverless environments or databases or, infrastructure as code, whatever is running within your environment, you'll have clear line of sight. And one of the significant value items with Cloud Checker is its ability to give you real-time security and compliance optimization headlines So you can see here on the screen that you have the best practices console that gives you, at its core, security best practices, cost recommendations, availability, and usage. So what CloudCheckr is doing is scanning your environment on a continuous basis to understand or see if it sees any security vulnerabilities on a cloud native level. It'll flag those, and you can see here, for example, there's just a few red vulnerabilities that need to be addressed straight away. You can see fourth line down, there's a new security group that's exposing all the assets behind that security group to the internet. So obviously that one really needs to be addressed straight away. As part of our managed service, we'll work with you to actually fix those. As part of Cloud Resell, you have this tool to be able to be proactive and responsive. Your own cloud team can be responsive in real time when these issues are detected. Okay, so from a cost perspective, it's a really valuable tool to understand where you have orphaned objects, for example. When you're building out your cloud environments, you can easily end up with thousands of orphaned objects, or sorry, not thousands of orphaned objects, but thousands of objects within your cloud environment. It's easy to lose track of those items. CloudCheckr keeps tabs of what's being used and what isn't. So it's able to flag, 5 virtual machines there, third line down, that are not being used, 21 unattached virtual disks. It's able to detect where virtual machines can be resized, so that you are not overspending on your virtual machine usage within your cloud environment. It's able to detect, there's a line there, even though it's green, it's obviously been addressed, but a SQL server that it's running but it has no databases. So it gives you the ability to trim your environment to ensure that you're cost effective and saving money. And last but not least, CloudCheckr also gives you a compliance dashboard where if you have specific compliance requirements such as PCI DSS, it'll guide you through the process to ensure that your cloud environment meets those compliance requirements from a cloud native perspective. So really powerful tooling at no additional charge to you as our customer. And obviously the reason we do this is we want to be able to engage with you and ensure that you have the best experience with these cloud environments you can. So moving on to our next tier of service. So the triangle tier there you can see is our Cloud Resell tier, Cloud Core. The orange triangles is our Cloud Essential, our first tier of managed service that comes at a fee. Once we move to this tier, we have a solid onboarding process. We run through a solid onboarding process with you as our customer, and we plug in the Datadog monitoring across all of the assets within your environment. We want to make sure we understand what you're trying to build within cloud, and not only just take on and manage the environment. We want to be with you as part of on that journey. So we'll go through and understand what those assets are that you have within cloud, whether it's data warehousing, whether you're doing a bit of data engineering or Azure data pipelines, whatever it is. We want to make sure we plug in the correct monitoring for each of those components so that we can ensure that alerting triggers at the right moment, and that we can proactively be responsive to any issues detected across your environment, and we can just ensure you have a great experience with us as CDW. Chargeback reporting, really important for, as your business grows, or even for large existing businesses where you have multiple business units deploying cloud environments within the one subscription or multiple cloud subscriptions. We'll help you as part of this managed service tag those various environments, and then assign reporting to those environments so that you can easily report on and bill on to those various business units within your organization what the cost of their environments are to you, to the business. So it makes it very easy to charge back that cloud usage to the business units within your organization. Identity and access management, really important one for us. We like to make sure that, it's twofold. It's one of those things where customers, obviously, it's an overhead. You don't want to have to deal with it. We basically become an augmentation of your onboarding and offboarding team. So any new users or users that accounts that need to be closed or locked, you just need to log a ticket with us. We'll create those new accounts, make changes, whatever you want within Active Directory, we'll do that for you. So really valuable component there. Snapshot management is really an important one as well. Although we provide fully managed enterprise grade backup and DR solutions, which we'll talk about later, within this managed service, we'll ensure that anything that you need protected from a cloud native perspective, where you need cloud native snapshots, we'll define the schedule for that snapshotting. We'll monitor those and make sure they're occurring on a daily or more frequent basis on your behalf, and we'll establish the retention periods and everything for those snapshots as well. So it's just, again, another piece of sort of data protection that you don't need to think about. Everything we do comes with our service delivery management and change management processes. So you have a world-class experience with CDW, not just a standard MSP service engagement. Okay, so moving on to our top tier cloud managed services, Cloud Premium. And I like talking about this one because this is really where the value is. This shifts from just a managed service where we're proactively responsive to any issues across your environment to actually being a really solid extension of your existing cloud team, or we become your cloud team entirely, depending on where you're at as a business and what resources you have. So the three key components, or four components, I should say, that are additional value add as part of Cloud Premium is, number one, the predictive analytics. There's a component of Datadog, called Datadog Watchdog, which uses AI and ML functionality to start detecting issues before they occur. So it's able to, because it has clear visibility of the usage trends within your environment, it's able to flag before an issue performance issue occurs, or a storage outage issue occurs, or an anomaly occurs within your environment where you normally have a busy website or a service on a Thursday night and it doesn't occur. It flags an alert automatically to say something abnormal happened here. Let's investigate and get on top of this before you experience any serious issues. We do operating system management and patching. Obviously, just a day-to-day operational task that is really a pain point that everyone wants to palm off to someone else. We do a really great job of it. We provide patching services for many customers, so lean on us for that, and we manage both Windows and Linux. Delivery on demand is a real key value. So instead of having to have a professional services engagement for every time you need to spin up a new virtual machine or do something with a VPN or change some security rules, you don't need to do a separate engagement. You just need to log a ticket with CDW and we'll go ahead and deploy what you need as part of that managed service. And optimization, an extremely important component of this service, is on a quarterly basis, we'll go through some of those best practice recommendations out of CloudCheckr, but also with the solution architect who is closely aligned with the account. We'll go through both who has an understanding of the architecture and the services that you're deploying to your cloud environment. We'll work with you not only across the optimizations we see out of CloudCheckr, but also helping you understand and strategize how you can build out those environments and services and applications you have within your cloud environment, and how you can re-architect, how you can ensure you're scalable, cost-effective, and secure. So that's a significant value there with Cloud Premium. If you want to know any more about these cloud services, please let me know. Happy to talk through any of the specifics with you. So I hope that was a really valuable component, just running through our cloud managed services there. If there's any questions, feel free to throw them in the chat. Hopefully I'm not boring you at the end of the day. One thing, and another thing I wanted to touch on, which is hopefully of value to you as our customers, is private cloud services. We have the ability to not only build out world-class public cloud environments, but we can build out world-class private cloud environments. And we've partnered with ThinkOn to be able to provide those services. So in data centers spread out geographically across Canada, we're able to provide you dedicated VMware platforms or multi-tenanted VMware platforms, depending on your price point and performance requirements. that give you that infrastructure and solution and VMware environment, for example, that you know very well inside out. And all covered by a monthly fee. So if you have a dedicated compute and hypervisor build environment requirement where you don't want to you want to shift from that CapEx build requirement to an OpEx model, very similar to the cloud usage model, we can build out a dedicated or multi-tenanted environment for you within a world-class tier 3 data center anywhere in Canada. So if you're in a position where you're not quite ready to move to cloud, or you want to build a multi-cloud solution where you have some of your legacy applications or key applications that need to be close to your end users in a private data center, we can build those out for you and then extend using our cloud on-ramp capability from these private cloud environments into Azure, AWS, GCP, Oracle, whatever the outcome is or requirement, we can build that out for you. So like I said, no upfront hardware costs. So it removes the requirement to purchase, expensive hardware. You can just, we'll help you architect the right outcome and include the right hardware underneath that VMware environment and provide everything, the managed service, the hypervisor, the hardware stack, all as a monthly fee. So hopefully that gives you a high level of our private cloud capability. And across these platforms, we can provide the world-class enterprise class Commvault VM, from a backup perspective, and Zerto from a DR perspective solutions as well. Okay, so some of the locations. Oh, there we go. Took a little bit to respond there. But these private cloud environments that we can build across North America for you are included on screen there. Out west in British Columbia, Alberta, Quebec, Atlantic Canada, Ontario, and a whole range of locations in Ontario, we can build out these world-class private cloud solutions for you as well. And of course, I love seeing Australia there, being Australian myself. I love that, that we're able to deploy services there too. Okay, so moving on to our backup and disaster recovery service. Let me just get my screen to move on. Click on a different screen here. We actually provide some really large global data protection services to some global companies, of course. What we've done for various customers is build out primarily Commvault environments. Commvault having been around in the market for many, many years, really is a solid world-class enterprise grade data protection service. And you can see the architecture on the right there for one of our customers. Doesn't highlight who, of course, but you can see the architecture that we build out for a highly available Commvault environment within Canada. So all the long-term data retention, backup data and the long-term retention of that data is all held in Azure in the center there. You can see there's Azure Canada Central and Azure Canada East for the DR components of the solution. And we have what we call proxy servers sitting in each of their sites. Even though they're very large sites, we're able to put virtual machines or physical boxes in place at each of the customer's sites and run those nightly or more frequent backups across the virtual machines, databases, and various applications, and pull all of that data in real time across to Azure Canada Central as the landing place for all of those backups. So a highly effective enterprise class solution that we can build out for you as a customer, and then manage that on an ongoing basis so that you don't need to think about backup at all. We look after all the scheduling, and all the data retention, the daily backup failures will be responsive and resolve those issues. Any restores you need done, we'll do all of that. you as a customer will still have access to the console to do any on-demand restores you need. But basically, it's a hands-off solution where you don't need to think about backup or a DR component at all. We do all the environment patch management. We do reliability testing of those backups, and we'll restore to any location for you to prove that these backups are occurring as they should. And like I said, we'll do all the health and performance monitoring. We'll ensure the environment's humming away. Obviously, we want to make sure the environment's humming away for yourself, but also for us as an MSP. We want to make sure things are working perfectly, and we're responsible for all the incident management and tracking as well. And the SDM, or the service delivery manager, will meet with you on a quarterly basis to run through any service related items and ensure you're totally happy with the service. This is just a high level. Once I move to the next screen here, this is just a high level of some of the locations globally that we manage our data protection services for our customers in. So we manage services in India, in Czech Republic, Poland, Spain, all over the world. So, I always like to just touch on this slide because it really highlights the extent and the value that we're able to provide to you as a customer across your many locations. Doesn't matter where your environments are, we can back them up, protect them, and manage those and ensure that you don't need to think about it. And disaster recovery. Let's quickly move on to that because I think we're running out of time. But this was one that's really near and dear to my heart. And a lot of disaster recovery, architected a lot of environments and been involved in many large enterprise grade disaster recovery. The execution of DR tests and a couple of real DRs as well. So our disaster recovery services, we build out DR services using a few key products. Primarily, we use Azure Site Recovery for many customer environments, just because that's an easy tool to go to, but it's robust. It does what it should do. It replicates data in real time, and is obviously great for Azure, using Azure as a DR target. So you're only consuming in cloud what you need to. Zerto, world-class DR product. Sold a lot of this, really love the product. It's a world-class DR solution or product to use across Hyper-V environments and VMware environments. It's a DR product for virtual environments only, but in most cases that covers all critical workloads for most customers. For unique use cases, we'll also always work with the customer to understand what the edge case service is. Is it an AS400, iSeries environment, or AIX? Is it, we'll provide the complementary DR services that, may not be supported by these particular products. But for your key assets and critical workloads within a VMware or bare metal in Windows or Linux installer environment, we have robust world-class DR services to wrap around those. I'll just go on to the next slide because I think this sort of really helps articulate what we do in this space. Now, if I go back a little bit here, for some reason the animations didn't work, but I'll start here. So the tools that we use ensure that every block of data as it's written to disk in your production site is replicated in real time to your disaster recovery site, whether that disaster recovery site is a secondary location for you and your business, or it's a co-location facility, or it's Azure, AWS, or Equinix like I have there. We'll help you build out these DR solutions, but if you also already have a DR solution using Commvault, Zerto, or Azure Site Recovery, we can take on that management for you so that you can have a provider who deals with disaster recovery solutions day in, day out to ensure your environment is humming away. And one of the key value items that we provide, or statements across the service we provide, is that we provide annual DR testing in a bubble environment. So we'll fail over workloads into the disaster recovery site once a year on your behalf, and start up those workloads in the correct order. You know, starting up the usual suspects first, you know, the Active Directory, then databases and applications, and ensuring that we're able to prove that you can start your critical workloads up in the event of a real disaster as quickly as possible. And we can run these DR tests during business hours because we build out what's called a bubble test, an isolated network that represents the same IP addressing and environment as your production environment, but there's no routes back to your production environment. So we'll then fail over those virtual workloads or those operating systems and environments into the bubble environment, start them all up in the correct order, give you, a customer, remote access into that environment via a jump box that's accessible through the internet only. And then your application owners can go in and do some application testing to prove, you know, from a compliance requirement, if most customers and most businesses these days, and more businesses have the requirement to be able to sign off that they can, hand on heart, perform a disaster recovery test on a yearly basis at least. And they can prove that their applications will start up as expected, the public-facing websites are available, and all the various applications within their environment work as they should. Application testing, as I said, we can help you with application testing. Typically, we leave that in the hands of the customer because it's just a customer that needs to understand and sign off on that application testing component. But if help is required, we can scope that out for you as part of the engagement. Ransomware recovery, I like touching on this one really quickly because in the event that ransomware is rampant, and we're seeing more and more, even with customers who have robust security services running across their environment, are still getting hit by ransomware events. So if you're, regardless of to your best efforts, you've done everything you could, if you're unfortunately hit with a ransomware event, what is your disaster recovery plan? What is your plan to resolve, to roll back your environment to that point just before that ransomware encryption event occurred? You know, you need to understand how your business can recover in this event. It seems to be happening quite often. And Zerto is a perfect tool for that. Because the way Zerto works is every block of data that's captured and replicated to the target environment in real time is captured as a recovery point. So if your environment or a file server or database or environments are encrypted, we're able to restore to minutes before that encryption event occurred. Therefore, you don't have to pay that extremely expensive ransomware ransom to, you know, that party that created a serious issue for you. Making a managed disaster recovery solution highly affordable and a well worth investment to you, to ensure that you can say hand on heart to your business leaders, we can recover from a ransomware event and not have to pay that ransom. So I'm going to move on really quickly because I think we've got Kahoot to start in a second, and hopefully I'm keeping your attention. I'm quite passionate about disaster recovery, as I'm sure you can tell. This is just a high level of the services that we provide as part of the disaster recovery service. You know, 24/7 monitoring, ensuring all the replication of your critical workloads is occurring. If there's any outages, we respond proactively to resolve those. We do annual DR testing. We'll do disaster declaration management and execution. So if you hit a real disaster, you just call CDW. This is the real deal, and we'll fail over your environment for you and start up those workloads, and we'll work with you to ensure that your environment is up and running, and your business can continue to operate as quickly as possible. So we'll manage those real disaster declaration events on your behalf and help you out when you're in serious trouble. So if that means a ransomware event, call us, you know, and we'll recover that environment for you, and save you a ton of cash with not having to pay that ransom. We look after all the disaster recovery runbook management, of course. Anything from an application level is normally a DR runbook that the customer looks after, but from everything that CDW owns and manages, CDW looks after and manages those disaster recovery runbooks, so we can ensure we can bring up your environment as quickly as possible. RTO and RPO optimization, we want to make sure that your recovery point objective, as small as you want it to be, is manageable and possible. In most cases where we have VR services operating, as long as the bandwidth is there, we normally experience under 30 seconds of lag between that data being captured on premise from those critical workloads to the DR site. So very minimal data loss, if any at all, in the event of a real DR. Okay, so I'm going to move on to SD-WAN. So SD-WAN, we provide managed network services, so whether that's WAN or SD-WAN, we provide it all. But just to give you a high level of the services that we provide and the vendors that we support across SD-WAN include Palo Alto Networks, you have Fortinet, Viptela from Cisco, obviously Meraki from Cisco as well, Ruber and F5. We'll build out SD-WAN solutions for you. And the great thing is we've just recently partnered with a carrier wholesaler as well. So if you're in a position where you have legacy MPLS environments that are costing you a significant amount of dollars, we'll work with you not only to build out a robust SD-WAN solution that utilizes carrier diverse internet services out of each of your sites. We can help you source those carrier diverse internet services or point-to-point services, whatever the requirement is for each of your sites. We can help you and charge you on a monthly basis for those carrier services as part of the overlaying SD-WAN service. So, it's a great solution we can provide. It's holistic. You don't need to worry about the network. You don't need to worry about SD-WAN. We monitor and manage it and ensure that, we'll even do testing, SD-WAN reliability testing and failover links to ensure that, in the event of a link outage, there'll be zero visibility or awareness of those outages to your end users in the event of a link outage. So really, really important product within our managed service suite of different services, and more than happy to deep dive into, even if you have an existing SD-WAN solution, you're not sure it's operating to its best or peak capability, we can run assessments across what you currently have and then provide ongoing management as part of that as well. So keep us in mind. It's not just building out new environments. Let us help optimize what you currently have, whether that's, like I said before, establishing and sourcing the correct carrier services underneath or decommissioning old MPLS environments. Let us help you with that whole engagement so that you have, the best network environment possible for your internal and external customers. And like I said, last slide here, we recently partnered with a carrier wholesaler where we were able to provide wholesale pricing across for carrier services across all the tier 1 carrier vendors within not just Canada, but within North America as well. But obviously just highlighting some of those key carrier players within Canada, Shaw, Rogers, Bell, and TELUS. We're able to ensure that you have, especially when we're dealing with larger customers, sometimes customers will engage with a Bell, for example, but then they need to ensure they have carrier diverse services and they need to go to a Shaw. In those scenarios, normally when you're dealing directly with Bell, for example, you'll end up with an expensive secondary carrier diverse link. That's because you're dealing with Dell and Shaw don't play nice together. But when you deal with CDW, we're a non-biased player and we're able to get you the best prices for your carrier service requirements, whether that's internet, MPLS, point-to-point, etc., cloud on-ramp, express route, direct connect services, etc. So I'll wrap it up there because I know I've just talked a lot. I really hope that was educational. And sorry, I see a question here now. Sorry, I didn't pick that up earlier. does this DR plan in real-time scan for ransomware virus activities prior to pushing it out to the DR site? These products don't detect or aren't looking for ransomware virus activities prior to the push out, but we have really strong SIM services that would normally be monitoring any of your security devices. And that's a solution I would lean on personally to ensure that we have an awareness from a security perspective holistically across all of your environment. So hopefully that answers your question to some level. These products that we have from a DR perspective are purely about ensuring that your critical workloads are captured, every block of data is captured and replicated to the DR environment in real time, and that we have an automated runbook process to start up your workloads and ensure your business can continue as quickly as possible. That's what those services zone in on. So from a ransomware protection perspective or detecting, those sort of activities within your environment, I'd highly recommend talking to our security team to work through the MDR services and the SIM services we can provide you for holistic security visibility. How is CDW managed SD-WAN offering different than Sure already providing that managed SD-WAN services? The main thing is that with CDW, one of the real call outs I'd like to make is that we are vendor agnostic, we are technology agnostic. We don't have a bias. We have experience across multiple carrier players and vendors across hardware and software. We're in the privileged position of being able to understand the differences between a Sure or a Bell and ensure that you have, so say for example, SD-WAN, right? How I'd say we differ is that for maybe a difficult location that you have as a customer or a very remote location, we're able to source the right carrier to ensure you're not spending too much, that you have the best bandwidth capable for that location. And you're not stuck with a Sure, for example, that's just going to lean towards their own services. So we can ensure we get the right carrier services and the right SD-WAN solution in that ensures you have the best experience and we're not just pushing a specific vendor. So that's what I would say as the real significant value that CDW brings to the table, as opposed to going to Bell or Sure or Rogers directly. So hopefully that helps you there. Is CDW SD-WAN service can be managed on flexible contracts on a monthly basis? Yeah, no, really good question. So typically the managed services contracts that we deal with are 36 months, just because, we can do yearly contracts, but a year can go by really quickly. And the real value that we can provide is on, not a 2-year, 3-year, is on a 2 or 3 year basis and beyond to ensure that we can provide you the best cost for that service. If we're committed to a 1-year contract, obviously the price may be slightly higher than what you would get out of a 3-year contract, but we can absolutely be flexible and we'll work with you to establish the right outcome. So great questions. Thank you, Penny. That's great. Is there any other questions? Feel free to audibly jump in as well if you want to.
I think, so we're a bit over time, Jason, and again, apologies for cutting you off midway.
Oh, that's fine, yeah.
But we're going to get started with the Kahoot just because I know we're a bit over time for everybody, so I'm trying to be respectful of everybody's time this afternoon, but I do appreciate everybody who's still on the line and had some time to just sit in on our managed services session. Let's get started with the Kahoot. And then for those who are not familiar with our Kahoot, it's just kind of that, it's a website. You would kind of just go to the website and input the code that we give you now. That'll pop up on the screen, and then it works either off your phone or off your computer, depending on where you're logging in through. And Puneet, definitely, we can just reach out to your AM, and we can definitely set up some time with Jason to have that secondary call. So the game pin is above. You just go into your www.coot.it, input that game pin on the first screen, and then you can create a username, and away we go.
Alrighty. Justin. Thank you. All right. Alrighty. So it may end up just being before, but let's do it.
Let's get it started. Yep.
Good stuff. Thanks, guys. I appreciate your time. I know it's the end of the day and you're probably pretty keen to get on out, but let's start with the first question. Who are CDW's public cloud partners? Azure, number one, AWS, Azure, Alibaba, Bob's Cloud. AWS, Azure, Google Cloud. Google Cloud, Ted's Cloud Emporium. I can't believe someone picked number one, but that's great. We just got it right. Perfect. Justin, legend. Great. True or false? Does CDW provide annual DR recovery failover testing as part of its DR service offering? Pretty simple one. Should be hard to get wrong. Thanks, guys. Good stuff. So hopefully I wasn't boring you. All right, Justin. True or false? Does CDW resell carrier services and SD-WAN solutions? Nice. Nice work, yes. Very true. Okay. And that's it. Oh, yeah. I thought there was one more question. But that is it. Thanks, guys. And the winner, Justin. There you go, Justin, Andrew, Panit. You've done well. So thanks so much for your time, guys, and really appreciated having this time with you. So I'll hand over to Diego there. Thanks, guys.
Appreciate it. Thank you, Jason. And thank you for everybody who joined the call. Some great questions, some great conversations. Thank you, and have a great afternoon.
Thanks, guys. All the best. Have a good day.